up front, right? So the general thought, no tip, no trip, right? If how many deliveries do you have? Let me ask you that.
Seven, a little over 7,000.
If we go back through whatever deliveries you did last month, even though you're no tip, no trip, I promise you we'll find two or three of those orders that met the requirements. You delivered the order, but it didn't have a tip on it because you can't see the tip up front.
Right.
So the general thought, and I understand, it's catchy. No tip, no trip, right? It rhymes. It's
Sure. Yeah. It
it's
gets
quick.
people talking. It
It
sparks an
rhymes.
emotion.
It
Yeah.
comes off of the tongue, right? And for like I said, just in general, right? Okay, so I have my minimum is like $5.75, $6. So there again, there are going to be some orders in there where like I'm not taking it because there's no tip on it, right? But there again, you don't see me walking around just like no tip, no trip. You feel me? And
Yeah.
I'm not disrespecting the customer in any way, shape, or form because I know that that's not going to do anything for us. There's nothing that I teach. There's nothing that I'm instructing people to do that would even lead you in that direction to think that that's something that's okay when other people are literally eating off of it.
Hmm. Yeah. I think for me, sometimes, I look at no tip, no trip as a way to let drivers know what their worth is, right? So most of the time, if you're talking about, hey, if Bentley's minimum's 575, I think that's what you said, right? And you see it's going a couple miles, hey, it works for me, I'll take it. You drop it off, there's no tip. It's like, you ain't gonna be mad because you took it at face value, right? But
Right.
I try to talk about, and most of the time we don't know if there's a tip on there. We can gauge. Most of the time, you can look at an order and say there's probably a $4 tip, a $5. Hey, that looks like a good hidden tip indicator. It's 625, 9 items. I'm all over that, right? And you could assume that there's probably going to pay you 13, $14, whatever, right? But for me, it's like those $2, $3, $4 orders, like we can't, for me, it's like when you see that, more than 90% of the time, there's probably not a tip on those. You know what I'm saying? Like if you see $2, $3, there's no tip. And if they did, they might tip you $1, like whatever. It is what it is. So for me, I can't take it, right? Because it's almost like I feel like we're enabling DoorDash to continue to send them out.
Mm.
And we're enabling the consumer behavior to say, hey, I don't really value the person that's bringing me this food, or I just don't have the know withal to understand what they really make and whatever, right? So I'm just not going to leave a tip for whatever reason, right? And for me, it's like there's no money in that. There's no money in the $2, $3, $4. So like, what do we figure out how to? Because DoorDash ain't gonna pay us more. They'll throw a peak pay out there. They'll try different programs, but I don't expect them to pay us more because they're running a business and they're saying they're not making money. So how could we expect them to pay us $7, $8 a order?
Mm.
But for me, it's like no tip, no trip allows drivers to be more profitable and be more selective.
Mm.
That's how I look at it. But I feel like, the no tip, no trip can go a little too far at times if we're confronting somebody in a negative way. Or I've called people clowns probably a million times. And I know you don't like that. Like you've told me that one-on-one, like, hey, we got to stop that. And I get it, right? But don't you think some people actually are clowns? Don't you think there's some that actually are that ignorant and really don't respect the job that we do and don't really feel like we're doing anything for them and they take advantage of us? Do you think that some people are clowns, or do you feel like all of them are just good?
So I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to back up just really quickly because I I want to make this really clear. So there again, my minimum is 575. So I'm totally in agreement with you in the whole no tip, no trip, right? So I feel that those orders under $4, right? Those orders under $5 need to be brought up, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm totally with you from that standpoint. All right, so I just posted on my story on my YouTube channel today. It was a couple of customers who flat out said that they wouldn't tip, right? And in the scenario that they used, I think one of them, the one that stands out to me right now, the lady said that she wouldn't tip because it would be tipping in advance, right? She didn't
Right.
understand
We hear that a lot. Yeah.
the process, right? And I think that's why the overall perception of dashers, and I think that's why we're like we gotta watch what we say about customers, because it's not that she's tipping in advance; she's tipping based off of the last experience that she had. Because if the last experience that she had was great, then she would be more, you know what I'm saying? She would be more open to tip. So there are customers out there that are just not going to tip. Right. All right, cool. but we still have the ability to turn down those orders, right? So we can turn down those orders, we can move on, and we can allow DoorDash to figure out what they want to do long term with those customers and what they want to do short term with those orders, right? There again, that's not our problem, right? We just turn that order down and move on to the next one. So for those
DoorDash will raise the base pay at some point, right? So we've seen that, right? We've seen,
right.
So eventually, hopefully, they'll raise it up to where it's worth somebody's time.
Right. But yeah, no, I don't even think trying to chase those orders, right? And there again, so I think that's why, and I want to be really clear about what I think it's going to take, right? Raising the standard, changing the perception, making sure that when we see articles about Dashers in the news, that they're more about the last video, like the last video that I published about the young lady using DoorDash to create her foundation, to fund her foundation, and less about people eating customers' burritos and stuff, stealing dogs and stuff like that. So we got to change the perception because, right, Chick-fil-A only sells chicken sandwiches, bro. You feel me, right? It's just chicken, right? It's either a big chicken sandwich, a little chicken strip, or they cut it down into nuggets, but the line stays packed. The people are coming for the experience. You feel me, right? Like they're coming for they're coming for the
customer service, because I can't tell you I've never had a bad experience at Chick-fil-A ever. It's not one time.
So if we as Dashers, if we as a community feel like this is a luxury service, that we should treat this as a luxury service, then we should provide that type of experience for our customer. And I don't think that it would take a whole lot, because the interaction that we have with our customers are so short. But yeah, man, I think it's time to, it's time to step the game up.
I agree with that, but don't you think? Let me ask you this question: do you feel like a consumer that doesn't value us for whatever reason, right? And you're not advocating for taking $2 and $3, $4 orders. Your minimum's $5.75. I've taken orders that have been $4. I've shown that, like $4.25 a mile. Boom, I take it. So my minimums, I guess, is even lower than yours. I don't know if you've ever taken a $4, but I get that. But do you think that a consumer that doesn't tip at all, doesn't give you good delivery instructions, just don't really respect what you're trying to do for them when they have a need, right? Because when consumer places an order, they obviously have a need for whatever, whether it's shop and pay, they want pizzas, they got a crying baby, they don't want to leave the house, they don't have a car, maybe they have a disability, they have a need. So do you feel like that consumer that doesn't show you some love and some respect up front, right? Because most customers aren't going to tip you in cash if they don't tip. Some will, but most won't. Do you feel like that consumer serviced with the same type of luxury service and the good service that you give, that I give, that the people that are watching give? Do you feel like they should get the same kind of service in a timely manner as somebody that's tipping $10?
All right. So, twofold. So I think some of the reason why people don't tip, I'm trying to pick my words, right? So just bear with me. Okay. So I think people don't always have money, right? So like I have Dash Pass, like my kids have Dash Pass, right? So if it wasn't for fast pay, right? Mm-hmm. Some of us would be living day to day, right? Like we would be living paycheck to paycheck. We wouldn't be able to work Sunday and Monday just because we don't have enough money to get through, at work. But
especially Dashers, most people that do DoorDash, I think, are living day to day moments.
Right? Yes. With fast pay. So these are real people, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 days before payday, right? But they got Dash Pass. You feel me, right? I got I don't want to say I have, but so I'm a single mom. Right. I have kids at home. I got a 13, 14-year-old and an 8-year-old at the crib. I don't want them at the house making any food. It's a couple of days before payday. I got just enough money to get us through. I don't even know if I got enough money to get us through. Right. But I know that I can jump on the app real quick, use Dash Pass, order my kids some Wendy's, make sure that I can stay at work. I can make sure they're good. And then I can spend maybe $10 or $15. Right. So I can make sure that everything is taken care of. And I can use that service that I've already paid for. So that's one type of customer. Okay. So even with that type of customer, so even with what you're saying, so these people get a windfall at some point in time, right? And when they do, they're going to tip, whether it's payday, whether it's tax season, whether it's when they get the check back from the wreck that they got in or whatever the situation may be. So my point there is they don't, just because they don't tip today, doesn't mean that they won't in the future, right? And then how they tip in the future, again, is going to be based off of the experience that they had previously when they used the app.
Yeah, I get that. But if what we're talking about, Dashers living moment to moment, day to day, I can't think about. I get it. You're forward thinking in that way. I get the point, you know. But like if we're out, you know, I'll pick a name. If uh, Mammy Mountain is out trying to make money, and she sees she's delivering somebody that's doesn't tip her at that point, or can't afford to, right? Because money's tight. They need that Wendy's. They can't leave work. The kids got to eat. I get it. I've done that for my daughter back in the day. But like Mama Mountain can't worry about the order that a Dasher and the tip that they might make a month from now from that customer. She's got to make money right now. You know what I'm saying?
And then that's when I fall back to my right. I'm gonna fall back on my exact same argument. So then throw the order back and move on. Right? Yeah. Just throw the order back and move on.
Yeah.
I want to say something. I want to say something else too, because you asked me another question too. Do they deserve the same level of service? Right. Yeah. Okay. So if you go into Walmart, if you buy batteries, if you buy candy, if you buy clothes, if you buy 40 TVs, they're gonna treat you the same way. You feel me? They're gonna treat you the same way no matter what type of money that you spend. You feel me? And even when you go into Walmart, they don't just sell TVs. They don't just sell high value items, right? They're not going for the things that they can make the most profit off of. Because I don't think they're going to make anything off of the damn candy, right? But they're still selling individual candy up front, right? Because that's what people are buying. You feel me? So again, it's looking at the whole picture. You feel me, right? Like it's looking at the whole picture. And I think like that's I was in sales. You feel me, right? Like I was in insurance sales before I came over to this. 30%, a 30% closing rate. You feel me? 30% closing rate was going to get you the highest, like almost the highest commission that we could get out of the department. You feel me? So when you think about, yes, so these orders are coming in, but your acceptance rate is 15, 20%, 25, 30%. You're still able to close. You're still able to find 15, 20, 30% of the orders. You feel me? That fit your needs, that you're able to close on. You feel me? Yeah. So it's like the whole expectation that every order that comes in has to be right. Like, yes, that's in a perfect world. You feel me? Right? Like, yes, but even in what we had before, you feel me? Right? Like what we had before. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate now is because if the way that DoorDash, and this is my perception, right? Like this isn't any insight because everybody thinks I work for DoorDash. If I come to you,
no, they think I work for DoorDash now too because I started doing earn by time and just trying some things out to actually give people numbers behind versus because last year I just had an opinion and I'm a loudmouth, right? But I'm trying to actually do some things with the programs to see how they actually work so people can have educational and actual knowledge. So people are calling me a corporate chill out and I'm getting paid too. So I get it. I'm getting that right now. So we have that in common. So
I don't have any insight, but from my perspective, if I come to you with a program, if I come to you with something that I think is gonna work, and you just like, nah, I don't want anything to do with it. Nah, this sucks. You feel me? Right? Like, nah, this is another attempt to brainwash the people to get them to take lowball orders, and you feel me? Like conspiracy theories, dramatize, and all of this. Then at some point in time, we're going to stop listening to Dashers altogether. And we're just going to start to do what's best for us because anything that we bring to them is not going to make them happy. And I think that's another reason why we got to come together. That was another reason why I was like, okay, we got to do this. I got to sit down with you because we got to come together and we got to figure out how we can come to them as a team with the things that work for us, but with the understanding that they have goals too. You feel me? We can't come in.
I get that 100%.
It can't be like, okay, we want a $5 minimum for everybody. Because to be completely honest with you, I think that some of these, like some of what I call the legacy markets, like some of those really big markets, you feel me? Like LA, San Francisco, Washington, Seattle area, New York, like Miami. So for the company, these areas, these markets are carrying the whole country. You feel me? They're carrying the whole country. And I think that they could find some money there to pay us extra. You feel me? Right? Like I think that they could squeeze some money out of it because overall it's going to raise the acceptance rate. We're going to be able to complete more orders. They're going to be able to get their forecasting down. So I think, from a business standpoint, that works. So I think there's money there. But like I said, I think we got to come together with the understanding that they're going to want something. You feel me? And we got to
Yeah.
We got to be able to say, okay, the first round might not be perfect, but it's going to be worth a try. You feel me? Right.
Yeah.
And start from there.
And not, if your minimum is 575, right? So you're throwing back the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, like you're just throwing them back, decline, not even thinking about it, right? I get that because it allows you to stay focused on your goals for the day, right? We should all be doing it, right? But like, do you think DoorDash kind of takes advantage of those new people a little bit, and like with the programs and saying to keep your acceptance rate up, you get priority? And like the new people, like when I first started, I didn't know. So I'm taking my first couple orders, just thinking it's going to work out. I didn't know if you can get a tip after or not the first like week or so, because I didn't really get into the YouTube videos to kind of learn some things yet. So, but don't you think they take advantage of the drivers a little bit, right? Like there should never be an order for less than like a gallon of gas, in my opinion, in any market, right? So we shouldn't be seeing $2, $3 going really any miles, but I've seen some that are like, 6, 7, 8 miles. It takes you maybe 20 minutes and you make 225. Like what do you say to DoorDash about those? Like, they could funnel the money in because some of the other markets can carry them and they got the money to spread it out. But I feel like they're just taking advantage of some drivers that are just ignorant and new, and their business model is okay with that because they understand Bentley and Pedro ain't taking it, but somebody has to take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, how do we get it? The base pay is never going to go up, but what is an option to where we can have not as many drivers being taken advantage of? What do you think about that? Or do we need drivers to take that so that other drivers can make good money? You know what I'm saying? I've heard that argument. Well, Pedro, somebody has to take the trash. Because if somebody doesn't take the trash, then the cherry pickers won't make money. Because I consider you a cherry picker. Your acceptance rate's like in the 30%. So you're not taking trash. So some people would say, well, Pedro, they got to take the trash. Somebody has to take the trash. Let the ignorant new people take the trash. Let us veterans make our money. But I'm not cool with that because to me, that's just kind of like taking advantage, in my opinion. When an offer is sent out and it's less than a gallon of gas. You know what I'm saying?
I got my conspiracies about the algorithm, and I think that they treat the new dashers pretty good until they start to like show that they're going to be late or like they mess up the orders. I think for like retention reasons, I think that they kind of show them a little love up front. But to answer your question, I want to believe, and I may be a little naive, but I think it's just education. I think that the platform that we have, and it's like we're on YouTube, but there's us on Instagram, there's us on Twitter. You feel me? There's us, there's Reddit groups, there's Facebook groups. So I think just education. I think when DoorDash sends out the brochure, on the brochure they tell people some resources that they have, and trying to find social media groups is something that they recommend. I think once you grasp to that, once you start to ask people, you start to ask some questions. But yeah, I don't. Me, I'm gonna stop short of take advantage. But I think without education, and I think that's why I'm here, right? I think it's one of the things that I'm preaching, right? Like, know your minimum. Number one, know what your cost is, right? You're not just coming out. You're in a town of 40,000 people, and you're sitting here saying that the only orders that you're going to take are $10, right? Like, no, I don't think that's not going to happen.
That's not realistic.
That's not realistic,
especially nowadays. Yeah.
So coming in, having realistic expectations, having a minimum, testing that minimum repeatedly. You feel me? To make sure that you can't change it. Having that education, and then having a community that you can trust, that is going to give you, right, like that's going to put you, I don't want to say in a positive light, but like you can't hang around losers and expect to win. You feel me? So you need a community that's winning, right? Like you need to put yourself around winners, people that can really help you when you get into a bind. So
I feel that. I get that.
I think education is going to be the key to that. And then there again, so you can call me naive if you want to, but I really believe that, like, as we start to throw these orders back, again, the algorithm is going to figure this out, right? So it's got to save time. And if it's wasting time by sending us these orders and they're coming in too low, eventually they're going to figure this out. You feel me? Like, eventually they're going to figure this out. And they're like, it's not going to be like we're sending out an email, we're raising, the base pay. But yeah, you'll start to see those orders. You feel me? Like, you start to see those orders.
Yeah, I think so. I've been doing the earn by time. I've had some pretty good results actually with it, but I've actually raised my acceptance rate because there's kind of another debate going on. Does acceptance rate matter? They got these diamond programs. I'm in a diamond zone. I don't know if you're familiar with that or you're in a diamond zone, but basically DoorDash says if you keep your acceptance rate above 50%, you get priority. If you keep it above 70% at a going rate, not like at the end of the month, but just consistently, you'll get first priority on high paying orders, which could be like an order $1.50 to $2.50 per mile. So it could be like, $4.25 for a mile. They'll consider that high paying and you'll get priority on that. Or it could be like a $60 order like I had 2 weeks ago, right?
Mhm.
But do you think in 2023 acceptance rate, do you think they're going to put more of a importance on it? Some people, I've heard debates on both sides. Or do you think that because you got 30-something%, or do you think that you'll still get good orders with the low acceptance rate?
I think they are trying, but I don't think it's working. I think for them, the ultimate goal is to raise the acceptance rate. If they can complete more orders, they can make more money, right? So that's their goal. But the way that they're going about it, the programs that they've been creating over the last year and a half have not been working in any way, shape, or form. I think that they're gonna have to focus on creating a program that we actually like. And I'm gonna do a shameless plug. All right, cool. So I got an idea, right? Like I got an idea, and I think I know this will work. You feel me, right? Like this will increase the base pay, right? Like this is gonna raise that standard that we were talking about, right? Like this is gonna put money directly in Dasher's pocket. And it's not gonna cost DoorDash a single dollar. You feel me, right? Like I got a way to work this out, but I think that there are ways to get it done. But there again,
I mean, you want to give us a hot take right now? Or you saving that for a video?
come on,
I
man.
mean,